The call came at 6:47 a.m. I was in my truck, halfway through my morning coffee, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. "Is this Michael Smith?" a man's voice asked. Formal. Shaky. "Yeah, who's this?" "This is Richard Hartman." I froze. Richard Hartman. As in the Richard Hartman. Billionaire. CEO. The guy whose mansion I delivered a package to yesterday? Yes, sir. Did I forget something?" There was a long pause. Then his voice cracked. "My daughter spoke." I didn't understand. "I'm sorry?" "She spoke, Mr. Smith, for the first time in 12 years, and the first word she said was your name." My heart stopped. I sat there in my truck, staring at the steering wheel, trying to process what he just said. A 12-year-old girl who'd been silent her entire life spoke. And she said my name? But I'm just a FedEx driver, a single dad barely scraping by. I'm nobody. So why me? To understand that, I have to take you back. Not just to yesterday, but to the beginning. To the life I was living before that one delivery changed everything. Because this isn't just about a girl who found her voice. It's about a man who thought he'd lost his. My name is Michael Smith. I'm 36 years old, and for most of my life, I've been invisible. Not literally, but close enough. I'm the guy you don't look at twice, the one who delivers your packages, nods politely, and disappears before you even close the door. I wear the same uniform every day, drive the same routes, knock on the same doors. People see the uniform. They don't see me. And honestly, I got used to it. I work for FedEx, have for the past 8 years. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it pays the bills, barely. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, drive to the distribution center, load my truck, hit the road by 6:30. I deliver packages until 7 or 8 p.m., sometimes later during the holidays. My back hurts, my knees ache, my hands are calloused from lifting boxes all day. But I don't complain, because I have something most people don't. I have Ava, my daughter, 12 years old, smart, quiet, and the only reason I keep going. Her mom left when Ava was 3, just walked out one night and never came back. No explanation, no goodbye, no forwarding address. At first, I thought she'd come back, that maybe she just needed space. But weeks turned into months, months turned into years, and I realized she wasn't coming back. I don't talk about it much. Ava doesn't ask anymore. She used to, when she was younger. "Where's Mommy?" she'd say, and I'd make up some excuse. "She's working. She's busy. She'll call soon." But eventually, Ava stopped asking, and I stopped lying. Now it's just us, me and her. And we're okay. Not perfect, but okay. The problem is, I can't afford a babysitter. Not on what FedEx pays. Daycare costs more than my rent. And leaving her home alone isn't an option. She's 12, sure, but I don't feel right leaving her for 12 hours a day. So she rides with me, every day, in the passenger seat of my delivery truck. She does her homework between stops, reads her books, listens to music. Sometimes she helps me carry the lighter packages. People stare. I can see them judging. Why is that man bringing his kid to work? But they don't know. They don't know that I don't have a choice, that I'm doing the best I can with what I have. So yeah, she rides with me. and I'm not ashamed of it.
Ava's a good kid. Quiet, like me. She doesn't cause trouble. Gets good grades, keeps to herself. But she struggles with anxiety, especially at school. She hates speaking in front of people, gets nervous when teachers call on her. Her hands shake, her voice gets small. I've tried to help, talked to her teachers, tried to build her confidence, but it's hard when you're fighting the same battle yourself. Because the truth is, I'm just like her. Quiet, invisible, afraid to take up space. I didn't used to be this way. When I was younger, I had dreams. I wanted to be an architect, design buildings, create something people would remember.
But life got in the way. Money got tight. I dropped out of college to work, met Ava's mom, had a kid, and suddenly my dreams didn't matter anymore. Now I'm 36, delivering packages, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to raise a daughter on my own. And most days, I feel like I'm failing. But I keep showing up, because that's what dads do, even when no one's watching, even when no one cares. That Tuesday started like any other day. I picked Ava up from school at 3 p.m. She climbed into the truck, backpack heavy, face tired. "How was school?" I asked. She shrugged. "Fine." "Just fine?" Mrs. Parker made us do presentations again. I hate presentations. I glanced at her. "Did you do okay?" "I guess. I got through it. That's all that matters." She didn't look convinced. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a sheet of stickers I kept for moments like this, purple stars. I peeled one off and handed it to her. "What's this for?" she asked. "Purple means brave," I said. "Stick it on your hand. Reminds you that even when you're scared, you're still brave." She smiled a little, stuck it on the back of her hand. "Thanks, Dad." "Anytime, kiddo." We drove through the city, stopping at apartments, offices, houses. I knocked on doors, left packages, moved on. Most people didn't even look at me. They'd open the door, grab the box, and close it again without a word. Sometimes I'd get a thanks, sometimes not. I didn't take it personally. That's just how it is. Then we hit the last delivery of the day. 1247 Bellwood Estate Drive. I'd never been to this part of town before. The houses here didn't look like houses. They looked like museums, mansions with gates and fountains and gardens that probably cost more than my entire life. I pulled up to the address and stared. The place was massive. White stone, gold trim, windows so tall you could see the chandeliers from the street. "Whoa," Ava whispered. "Yeah," I muttered. "Whoa." I grabbed the package from the back, a small box, nothing special, and walked up the driveway. Ava stayed in the truck, watching. The front door was huge, dark wood, gold handles. I felt out of place just standing there. I knocked. A woman in a uniform opened the door. Not the owner, staff. "Delivery for Hartman," I said, holding up the box. She nodded and took it. "Thank you." I turned to leave, but then I saw her. A little girl, standing in the hallway behind the woman, barefoot, wearing a white dress, staring at me with wide, dark eyes. She didn't say anything, just stared. The woman noticed me looking. "That's Lila, Mr. Hartman's daughter." I nodded. "Hi, Lila." The girl didn't respond, didn't smile, didn't move. The woman lowered her voice. "She doesn't speak, never has." I looked at Lila again. She was still staring at me. Not scared, not curious, just watching. Something about her reminded me of Ava. The way she stood, the way she looked at the world like she was behind glass. I knelt down so I was at her level. "You know what?" I said softly. "My daughter's quiet too, but she's also really brave." I reached into my pocket and pulled out one of the purple star stickers, the same ones I gave Ava. "This is for you," I said, holding it out. "Purple means brave. Even if you don't say anything, you're still brave, okay?" Lila stared at the sticker.
Then, slowly, she reached out and took it. She didn't put it on her hand. She just held it, staring at it like it was the most important thing in the world. I stood up, gave the woman a polite nod, and walked back to my truck. Ava looked at me. What was that about? Nothing, I said, starting the engine. Just a quiet kid who needed a sticker. I didn't think about it again. Not that night, not the next morning. I had no idea that one small moment would change everything. The next morning, I got the call. Richard Hartman, billionaire, CEO of Hartman Industries, one of the richest men in the country. And he was calling me. "My daughter spoke," he said, voice shaking. "She said your name." I sat in my truck, trying to process it. "Mr. Hartman, I don't understand. I just gave her a sticker." "A sticker," he repeated. "Do you have any idea how many therapists we've hired? How many specialists? How much money we've spent trying to get her to speak?" I didn't know what to say. "Millions," he continued. "We've spent millions, and nothing worked. But you gave her a sticker, and she spoke." His voice broke. "I need to meet with you. Please, I need to understand what you did." I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell him I was just a delivery guy, that I didn't do anything special. But something in his voice stopped me. He wasn't calling as a billionaire. He was calling as a father. "Okay," I said. "When?" "Today. This morning. I'll send a car." "I have work. I'll pay you for your time. Double what you make. Please." I looked at the clock. 7:15 a.m. My shift started at 7:30. "Okay," I said. "I'll be there." 2 hours later, I was standing in the same mansion. But this time, I wasn't delivering a package. Richard Hartman was waiting for me in a massive living room. Tall, late 40s, expensive suit. But his eyes were red, tired, like he hadn't slept in days. "Thank you for coming," he said. "I don't know what I did," I said honestly. "That's exactly why I need you here." He gestured for me to sit. I did, awkwardly. The couch probably cost more than my truck. "My daughter has selective mutism," he explained. "Since birth, she's never spoken a word. We've tried everything: speech therapy, behavioral therapy, medications, specialists from around the world." He paused. "Nothing worked. She's 12 years old, and she's never said a single word to me." His voice cracked. "Do you know what that's like? To be a father and never hear your child say Dad?" I didn't answer. I couldn't imagine. "But yesterday," he continued, "she whispered your name. Just once, but it was clear. Michael." He looked at me. "What did you say to her?" I thought back. I didn't say much. I gave her a sticker. Told her purple means brave. That even if she doesn't talk, she's still brave." Richard stared at me. "That's it." "Yeah, that's it." He leaned back, exhaling. 12 years. 12 years of doctors and therapy and money. And all it took was a sticker and a kind word from a stranger. He looked at me again. "Will you come back? Will you talk to her again?" I hesitated. "I'm not a therapist. I don't know what I'm doing." "You don't need to be a therapist," he said. "You just need to be you." I didn't know what to say to that. "I'll pay you," Richard added. $1,000 a week, just to spend time with her, talk to her, do whatever you did yesterday." $1,000. That was more than I made in 2 weeks at FedEx. "I don't know if it'll work again," I said. "I don't care. I just need to try." I thought about Ava, about the bills piling up, about the apartment with the broken heater, and the car that needed new tires. "Okay," I said. "I'll try." Richard's shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank you." That afternoon, I came back, this time with Ava. Lila was sitting in the same spot, by the window, staring outside. She didn't look at me when I walked in, didn't acknowledge me. I sat down across from her. Ava sat next to me, quiet.
Ava didn't say anything. She just pulled out her sketchbook and started drawing. We sat there in silence for a while. Me, Ava, Lila. Richard watched from the doorway, waiting, hoping. But Lila didn't speak. After an hour, Richard walked me out. "I'm sorry," I said. "She didn't say anything." "It's okay," Richard said. "Just come back tomorrow?"
I nodded. Yeah, I'll come back. I came back the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. At first, Lila didn't respond. She'd sit by the window, staring outside, holding the purple sticker I'd given her. But I didn't push. I didn't ask her questions. I didn't try to force her to talk. I just sat with her, told her stories, told her about my deliveries, about the weird things people ordered, about the time I delivered a package to a house and a goat answered the door. Ava would sit next to me, drawing. Sometimes she'd show Lila her sketches. Lila would look at them, not say anything, but look. And slowly, things started to change. One day, Lila handed Ava a crayon, purple. Ava smiled. "Thanks." Lila didn't say anything, but she nodded. Another day, Lila moved from the window to the couch, closer to us. Richard watched from the doorway, eyes wide, like he was witnessing a miracle. "She's never done that before," he whispered. After a week, Lila started drawing with Ava. Not talking, just drawing. They'd sit side by side, sketching in silence. And somehow, that was enough. One afternoon, I was telling a story about a delivery I made to a celebrity's house, how their dog had stolen a package and I had to chase it around the yard. Ava laughed, and then, for the first time, I heard it. Lila giggled. It was soft, barely audible, but it was there. Richard's hand flew to his mouth, tears filled his eyes. I kept talking, pretending like nothing happened, because I didn't want to scare her. But inside, I felt something shift. She was starting to trust us. The next week, Lila started making small sounds. Not words, just hums, little noises. Richard was beside himself. "She's never done this, not once." "She's comfortable," I said. "That's all." But it was more than that, and I knew it. Lila wasn't just comfortable. She was safe. For the first time in her life, she was around people who didn't expect anything from her, who didn't push, who just let her be. One day, Ava brought a book, one of her favorites. She started reading it out loud to Lila. Lila listened, eyes wide, focused. When Ava finished, Lila pointed at the book. "You want me to read it again?" Ava asked. Lila nodded. So Ava read it again, and again, and again. By the fifth time, Lila was mouthing the words along with her. Richard was shaking. "She's trying to speak." "Don't push her," I said quietly. "Just let her go at her own pace." He nodded, wiping his eyes. 2 weeks in, I started bringing Lila small things. A flower I found on a delivery route. A smooth rock Ava thought was pretty. A postcard from a place I delivered to. Lila would take them, hold them, stare at them like they were treasures. One day, she handed me something back. A drawing of me, Ava, and her, standing together, smiling. I felt my throat tighten. "This is beautiful, Lila," I said softly. She didn't respond, but she smiled, and that was enough.
3 weeks in, it happened. I was sitting with Lila and Ava, like always, telling a story, making them laugh. Lila was holding the purple sticker, the one I'd given her that first day. It was worn now, faded, but she carried it everywhere. Ava noticed. "You really like that sticker, huh?" Lila looked at her, then at me, and then so quietly I almost missed it, she whispered, "Thank you." The room went silent. Ava's eyes went wide. She looked at me. I froze. "Did you just—" I started. Lila's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. Richard was standing in the doorway. He stumbled forward, hand over his mouth, sobbing. "Lila," he whispered. She looked at him. "Say it again," he he begged. "Please." Lila's lip trembled, but she spoke. "Thank you." Richard collapsed into a chair. He buried his face in his hands and cried like I'd never seen a man cry before. Ava reached over and took Lila's hand. "You're so brave," Ava whispered, and Lila smiled. After that day, Lila started speaking more. Not a lot, just a word here and there. Yes. No. Please. But every word felt like a victory. Richard couldn't stop thanking me. "You saved her," he kept saying. But I didn't save her. I just saw her. I saw a little girl who needed someone to be patient, someone to not expect anything, someone to just sit with her and let her be herself. And that's all she needed. But not everyone was happy. Richard's ex-wife, Victoria, showed up one day, cold, elegant, dripping in jewelry. She walked into the house like she owned it, even though she didn't live there anymore. "You're letting some delivery driver play therapist with our daughter," she snapped at Richard. "He's helping her," Richard said calmly. "He's a nobody," Victoria shot back. "You're risking her progress for some feel-good story." She looked at me, up and down like I was dirt on her shoe. "How much is he paying you?" I didn't answer. "You're using her," Victoria said. "You see a rich family and you see dollar signs." "That's not true," I said quietly. "Then why are you here?" I looked at Lila. She was sitting on the couch, watching us, scared. "Because she asked me to be," I said. Victoria scoffed. "She doesn't talk." "She does now," Richard said. "Because of him." Victoria's face twisted. "I want him out now." "No," Richard said firmly. Victoria glared at him, then at me. "This isn't over." She left, slamming the door behind her. Lila looked at me, eyes wide, scared. "It's okay," I said softly. "I'm not going anywhere." But I could see the fear in her eyes. She'd just started finding her voice, and now someone was trying to take it away again. The next day, Lila didn't speak. Not a word. She sat by the window, staring, like the first day I met her. Richard was devastated. "She's regressed because of Victoria." "Give her time," I said. "She just needs to feel safe again." But days passed, and Lila stayed silent. Ava tried everything, drawing with her, reading to her, even giving her more purple stickers. But Lila wouldn't respond. I started to doubt myself. Maybe Victoria was right. Maybe I was making things worse. Maybe I should have just stayed a delivery driver and never gotten involved. A week later, Victoria came back, this time with a lawyer. "I'm filing for custody," she announced. "And I'm citing you as an unfit parent for allowing an unqualified stranger to interact with our daughter." Richard's face went pale. "You can't do this." "Watch me." She looked at me. "You've done enough. Stay away from my daughter." "I was just trying to help." "You're a delivery driver," Victoria said coldly. "You have no business being here." She turned to Richard. "You'll be hearing from my lawyer." And she left. Richard sank into a chair. "She's going to lose me." "She can't," I said. "You're a good father." "But she's right," Richard said quietly. "I let a stranger into my daughter's life. A stranger with no credentials, no training. What was I thinking?"
You were thinking about your daughter. You were thinking about helping her. And now, I'm going to lose her.
I didn't know what to say, because deep down, I was afraid he was right. That night, I sat in my truck, staring at the steering wheel. Maybe Victoria was right. Maybe I had no business being there. I was just a delivery driver, a single dad barely holding his own life together. Who was I to think I could help a billionaire's daughter? I thought about walking away, about going back to my routes, my invisible life. It would be easier, safer. But then I thought about Lila, about the way she looked at me, the way she held that purple sticker like it mattered. And I realized something. I wasn't helping her because I was qualified. I was helping her because I saw her. And sometimes that's all anyone needs. The next day, I went back, even though Victoria told me not to. Lila was sitting by the window, like always. But this time, she was holding something. The drawing she'd made of me, Ava, and her. I sat down next to her. Ava sat on the other side. "Hey, Lila," I said softly. She didn't look at me. "I know you're scared. I know things feel confusing right now." Still nothing. "But I want you to know something," I said. "You're brave. You've always been brave, even when you didn't talk, even when you felt alone." I pointed at the purple sticker on her hand. "That sticker? It's not magic. It's just a reminder that you're stronger than you think." Lila's lip trembled. "And no matter what happens," I said, "you have people who care about you. Your dad, Ava, me. We're not going anywhere." Lila turned to look at me, tears streaming down her face. And then she spoke. "Don't leave." Her voice was small, broken, but clear. I felt my throat tighten. "I'm not leaving, Lila. I promise." She threw her arms around me, and she cried. Ava wrapped her arms around both of us, and Richard stood in the doorway, sobbing. Victoria's custody hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Richard's lawyer prepped me, told me what to say, what not to say. "They're going to paint you as a predator, an unqualified stranger who manipulated a vulnerable child." "But that's not true," I said. "Truth doesn't always matter in court. Perception does." The hearing was brutal. Victoria's lawyer tore into me, questioned my credentials, my motives, my background. "You're a delivery driver with no training in child psychology, correct?" "Yes. And yet you inserted yourself into the life of a vulnerable child." "I was trying to help." "Or were you trying to take advantage of a wealthy family?" "No." "You're being paid, aren't you?" "Yes, but..." "So you are profiting from this child's condition." I clenched my fists. "That's not why I'm here." "Then why are you here, Mr. Smith?" I looked at Lila. She was sitting next to Richard, holding his hand, watching me. Because she needed someone to see her. Not as a condition, not as a problem, just as a kid who needed a friend.
The lawyer smirked. "How noble." Then it was Richard's turn. His lawyer called Lila's therapist to the stand, Dr. Ellen Marsh, a woman in her 60s who'd been working with Lila for years. "Dr. Marsh, in your professional opinion, has Lila made progress since meeting Mr. Smith?" "Yes," Dr. Marsh said. "Significant progress." "Can you elaborate?" "Lila have gone from complete mutism to speaking short sentences.
That's a breakthrough we've been trying to achieve for over a decade. And do you believe Mr. Smith has harmed Lila in any way? No, quite the opposite. He's provided her with the sense of safety and trust that traditional therapy couldn't achieve. Victoria's lawyer stood. But Mr. Smith isn't a trained professional. No, Dr. Marsh agreed. But sometimes healing doesn't come from credentials. It comes from genuine human connection. Finally, the judge asked to speak with Lila privately. We waited outside the courtroom, Richard pacing, me sitting, Ava holding my hand. 30 minutes later, the judge called us back in. Lila was sitting in the witness chair, looking small, scared. The judge looked at her gently. Lila, I just want to ask you one question, and I need you to be honest, okay? Lila nodded. Do you feel safe with your father? Lila looked at Richard, then at me, then back at the judge. And she spoke. Yes. The judge nodded. And do you feel safe with Mr. Smith? Lila looked at me, and she smiled. Yes. He sees me. The judge looked at Victoria, then at Richard. Custody remains with the father. Case dismissed. Victoria stood, furious, but there was nothing she could do. Richard collapsed into his chair, sobbing with relief. Lila ran to me, and I held her. 3 months later, everything changed. Richard offered me a job, not as a therapist, as a family liaison. He wanted me to help other families with kids like Lila, kids who'd been failed by the system, who needed someone to see them. I don't have credentials, I said. You have something better. You have empathy. I accepted. I quit FedEx, started working with families full-time, and it was the best decision I ever made. Ava and Lila became inseparable, best friends, sisters in every way that mattered. Lila spoke more every day. She'd never be the loudest kid in the room, but she didn't need to be. She just needed to be heard. One day, Lila came up to me and handed me a sticker. A purple sticker. For you. Because you're brave. Too. I felt my eyes sting. Thank you, Lila. She smiled, and she hugged me. 6 months later, Richard started a foundation, the Lila Hartman Foundation, dedicated to helping children with selective mutism and other communication disorders. And he asked me to run it. I don't know if I can, I said.
You already are, Richard said. Today, I don't deliver packages anymore. I deliver hope. I work with families who've been told their kids will never speak, who've spent years and fortunes on therapies that didn't work. And I tell them the same thing I told Lila. You're brave. Even when you're silent, even when you're scared, you're brave. Because sometimes the smallest act, a sticker, a kind word, a moment of genuine connection, can change a life. I was invisible my whole life, until a silent girl made me realize I wasn't. And now, I make sure no one else feels invisible either. Because everyone deserves to be seen. Everyone deserves to be heard. And everyone deserves to know they matter, even if they never say a word. If this story reminded you that small acts can change everything, drop a heart in the comments. Subscribe for more real stories about single dads who never gave up. And if you've ever felt invisible, know this:
You are seen. You matter. And your voice, whether loud or quiet, deserves to be heard. See you in the next one.